and welcome to the AEW Dynamite review. We are the Dadley Boyz of WhatCulture. I'm Adam Wilborn, joined by Michael Hamflett and Michael Sidgwick, here to review everything that happened on last night's episode of AEW Dynamite. But before we get into it, if you're a fan of this sort of thing, make sure you subscribe to WhatCulture Wrestling on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, and YouTube. We do daily wrestling podcasts where we not only review AEW Dynamite, but also AEW Collision, Raw, SmackDown, the show formerly known as NXT 2.0. Pay-per-views, premium live events. We have interviews, roundtable discussions, and a roundup of the week complete with a very good quiz, of course, on WrestleCulture. As I said, though, joined by Hamflett and Sidgwick to review last night's Dynamite, and the power's back.
No, it isn't, mate.
Okay.
It absolutely is not back. This was an improved Dynamite for two reasons. One, oh my God, some fans actually wanted to be in that building and made some noise for some pro wrestling. And I was really happy with that. Two, with the exception of, I would say, one, maybe two things, it was less, what are we doing here?
Yeah.
There were only one or two, what are we doing here moments. I don't think it was a wonderful episode of TV. There was nothing where I'm like, oh, God, I cannot wait for next week and to see how this develops. But it was a definite improvement, and there was some noise, and I was quite happy with it. And I will say this. Do you follow Not That Tom Green on Twitter, the WCW Deep Cuts guy who knows his stuff a lot? He was in attendance in Rampage describing Okada versus Briscoe as must-see. 2 for 2 for the other match, and then said that if Commander Ricochet lived up to what he thought as he was live tweeting, then it says the best Rampage in ages and ages. And he says that Commander, who he's very familiar with, does 3 things in that match where you're like, how the hell did he do that? So Rampage, I have to watch Rampage.
Going out on top.
Yeah. You know what? It is ending. What if he's just done this little sort of like
miss it, dickheads.
Yeah, maybe
he could have won.
Yeah.
Maybe he's doing that bloodline match psychology to Rampage, where he does absolutely nothing with it for 95% of the time, and the little last 5%, it's like, was this unbelievable? Actually,
Done the speed run of Monday Night Raw.
I mean, cliched and rote and loud.
It's going to be a little memories of love. You've got like the first 3 weeks, and then the last 2 episodes. What a time!
What a bookend!
What a time! UB40, not the Pet Shop Boys. It was stuck in my head.
Okay.
You know what I mean. What I will say for this one, because I agree with Sid completely. Just some energy, felt different. We've talked a lot about with WWE as well, the world going into like the world of the show and how unpleasant it was to be in AEW, and thus that would completely kill the anticipation. It was sort of becoming difficult to sort of find the positives of a Dynamite preview. I know you guys have spoken at the difficulty, not just because it's taped sometimes, but of trying to figure out how to even preview a Collision when that show's revealed itself to be just nothing and dark and week after week after week.
And the TV show.
There was just this was one of those Dynamites, and this is the thing. You never want to overstate that this promotion is dead and all that sort of stuff. Not least because I got
She feels it sometimes.
Because it's moneyed for ages and ages. The flaws are currently too embedded to have this like all-time a great night. Like there was like problems in the way they like booked some of the finishes, for example. They're just like, you are just not your best self. So when you're not your best self, you cannot do your best work. But it was just really, really nice to like the world again, to like the characters, to sort of see a couple of obvious directions, but obvious in that way where predictable is good, as we say sometimes. And in a couple of cases, not just a feeling of thinking about and speculating on the story that the wrestlers are in now, but also thinking about the one they're going to do afterwards. Yeah. Which is what I keep going back to about what I love about WWE currently, and for so long was one of like AEW's calling cards, wasn't it? Because it was the amount of things they were hiding their existing storylines to set you up for the next year on this, or whatever on that. There was a bit of that on this, and I think it like really shone through in places, and we've needed a Dynamite like this for quite a while.
Yeah. Well, let's dive straight into it then. We come on air, like you say. There was an air about it the moment they started the show.
People made some noise.
Yeah. And we have a video package highlighting week 1 of the C2, and they confirm, obviously, Commander replacing Juice Robinson. Get well soon to Juice Robinson. Broken fibula in his match against Will Ospreay. And then we get
fibula?
Leg bone in it. Tibia and fibula.
Oh, it's like near your shin.
God. painful, isn't it, wrestling?
Which makes sense from what we were talking about on the Collision review about the way that move landed. Yeah.
Did it quite early, didn't he?
Yeah.
A fair play, he's got to do.
And we return to the C2 because straight into it in the Blue League, we have Cole Fletcher versus Shelton Benjamin. Shelton Benjamin early in the match, obviously using his power advantage. Fletcher comes back, trash talks the crowd a bit, and that allows Benjamin to nail him with a clothesline. So it's quite a lot of stalling from Fletcher on the outside, but he comes back in and clotheslines Benjamin over the top, or sends both of them over the top, I should say, as we go to break. When we come back, Benjamin gets Fletcher on the outside with a clothesline and just sends him back and forth between the guardrail and the side of the ring, then into the steps. He tries to charge at him, but Fletcher dodges and Benjamin eats the post, but he comes back in at 9 to be hit with a massive lariat for a 2 count from Kyle. Fletcher wanted a brain buster.
Brain buster? What's that? I know what a brain buster is.
Well, sounds like I've been hit with one. But Benjamin responds with a spin kick for the reset. There's a leg trapped crossface, but Fletcher teases a tap, but just gets to the ropes. Benjamin misses another charge, eats some thrust kicks. There's a top rope elbow from Carl Fletcher. He wants a charge of his own, but Benjamin fires back with a thrust kick and some suplexes. Step up corner knee. It leads Fletcher to roll out to the apron, and he tries for a sunset flip. Benjamin and Fletcher go at it, and Fletcher floats over with the schoolboy, grabs the ropes, and gets the 1, 2, 3, and celebrates on the ramp like a heel should.
Yeah. This was the best possible version of this match in terms of the all-heel alignments. They must have suspected, or they're better workers than I thought, they must have suspected Shelton's really cool. Fletcher's more of an overt heel in terms of the shortcuts he's taken, the character, and the route he's taken to try and surpass Will Ospreay. They'll probably go with Shelton here. Let's sort of make Shelton that sort of almost situational babyface, but without betraying that badass character. He didn't really do any overstated appeals to the crowd. Action-wise, I wasn't, doing cartwheels over this, but I thought they'd measured it perfectly. And once we get to that German suplex spot, like, these fans are massively into it. Like, they love the Hurt Syndicate. A lot of people are saying you might need to turn them babyface sooner rather than later on this evidence. That protest is very, very, it's just only going to get louder. I just thought they did a really, really good job of this. The finish, if it was the only proper heel one on the show,
Those are my thoughts too.
I would have had it. But honestly, I was more impressed by the way that they navigated this match rather than the actual work. And I was really, really more impressed by how it was sold by the Hurt Syndicate in the aftermath.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, like, lots to praise upcoming. I stuck out the finish thing on the show, and I
liked it in this instance.
I would have liked it more had we not had the follow-up we got. But then, obviously, across the course of the night, it's that thing about, like, embedded issues within the company. It's like, come on, like, pick up on that. The match, I think the suplex spot was really indicative of where they're at with the Hurt business currently. There's two things. They are baby faces in waiting, and you either kind of, like, directly address that with a couple of particular recruitments or a couple of particular effective storylines against baby faces, or you just lean in and let them be baby faces. The other thing is that, especially after, like, Mark Briscoe as, like, an opener for Shelton Benjamin, and the way they debuted him before Lashley arrived, I sense that buildings want Shelton Benjamin to be like Bobby Lashley's 1A. I think they want to look at, like, Lashley and Shelton as if it's like Hawk and Animal or something.
Yeah.
Or Barbarian and Warlord. Like,
rather than, like, Kaiser and Gunther, basically.
A perfect example, yeah. Like, and you get that when, like, Shelton does do the power-up spots, and really the power-up Shelton stuff, it's totally believable, don't get me wrong, but it is very much about the opponent he's working with. Is how, like, Shelton's a big guy when he's in there with a smaller guy. Yeah. He's not necessarily this, like, he's not necessarily a Bobby Lashley wrestler, but it's those spots that, like, fans are receptive to. So they've got to figure that out, I think, a little bit, because ultimately, I've said this from the beginning, and I do not mean this in a...
Do a gamble.
Do a gamble and figure it out. I've never meant this to be cynical. I just think Shelton Benjamin matches are Shelton Benjamin matches, for better and for worse sometimes, but this is something that the fans are telling you, that's the one we want, so tweak it and stick with this power guy formula. And we'll even receive him as a babyface when he's doing it, because that's, as you point out, Sidgwick, that's, I think the match was agented, spotting that was where the fans would go and being able to read that audience, and the wrestlers work to it. So there's lots to like here. After the post-match, I think I would have gone with a slightly different finish.
Yes. bollocks to it. It's our show. Let's skip to the bit with the Hurt Syndicate backstage and MVP's berating Shelton for losing that match. Tells Shelton he loves him, but he's disappointed in the showing. And Lashley and MVP go to walk away. Benjamin just like, who's this closest person to me right now? And poor production assistant gets chucked against the roll door again. Kick the crap out of him, and MVP and Bobby Lashley come back in. I'll stick a few boots in as well. And MVP yells, that's what they do, Sige.
I can't remember the outlet that Tony Khan spoke to all the way back in 2019, but he was outlining his vision, you know, like promoting the brand ahead of it debuting on pay-per-view and then on TV. And he was talking about what he intended to do. And we did a podcast not too long ago about whether they had, in fact, adhered to those promises.
Yes.
You can probably still check that out. If you search up AEW Every Promise on YouTube or your podcast feeds, you'll be able to watch or listen to it. Regardless, Tony Khan, you know, because he's in opposition with 2019 WWE, which didn't just turn bad in 2019, sort of adamant of like, well, they've completely lost the plot over there. Like, we intend with the ranking system to make sure that wins and losses matter. Winning should make a wrestler's week, month, and year. Losing should be devastating to them. This was a little bit of a reminder of that all-important gravity of ramifications and narrative. And yes, I don't think it's going to lead anywhere with Shelton realistically in terms of a losing streak or anything as overt as that. Just the idea, and if you just sprinkle this in on every show, it will all come to matter over the next month. And yeah,
I was going to say, especially because we know he's got 3 more big matches.
Yeah. Exactly. Like, this is, if you've came in, Billy Big Bollocks, we're here literally to do the business on a Wednesday night, and you don't get it done, how would that character react? And MVP, I love how his standards are so exacting, because that will tell you, all right, okay, they don't make excuses for themselves. Like, they're here to win, and there are no excuses. Like, Shelton could have went, oh, no, he cheated. It's like, well, I probably should have cheated first, actually, and that's on me.
And that's the standards they're setting for their recruits as well, presumably, going forward.
Yeah, strong stuff in the aftermath here. Strong stuff. It's
a segment as good as this, is a reminder. Really, when you think about it, it's the single most significant pendulum shift between two companies, isn't it? We talk about like what the amount of homework WWE has copied in this boom. The wins and losses matter, and it's probably the biggest because of just everything else that underpins characters living and die by. And again, with or without rankings. Like, we've always said, the rankings was there to be a framework, not to be this thing that had to force you into like
certain narrative avenues,
stuff. Like, it's never about that. It was about something like this. A tournament is in its own way a kind of rankings, isn't it? And Shelton Benjamin now points wise falls below Kyle Fletcher or has to play catch up with certain others in the field. That's all anybody ever wanted from any kind of wins and losses system ever. And I think like this was a nice reminder of that. I hadn't really considered as well the idea that, well, if he's going to cheat, it's your fault for not out-cheating him. That does actually make me like that finish a little bit more.
Yeah.
Because it's like, if we're acknowledging we're all bastards, how come you're not the best bastard?
Yeah.
So, I like that more than I did, having thought about that. It's a good point. But just how physical they were was great as well.
I kicked their ass.
So measured in like, even MVP's bollocking, he's on fire.
He's amazing
as a talker at the moment, because he measured this promo to be like, there was no sense of Shelton's getting kicked out of the group.
No.
He was standards. Standards is the word.
It's the gold standard.
And you never had the fear. You never had that sort of like, I'm going to split Shelton from the group already, because that would be bad booking and it would be reckless. And
this is how it would happen.
Yeah, they never like let you think, oh, he's booting him out of the group. And then as soon as like Bobby Lashley joins in with a kick and you're like, yeah, we're back on board. Win next week, but we're all right again.
Yeah.
I thought they nailed it, like just how to measure how pissed off everybody was. And like, it's like, not that the Hurt Syndicate would, but this was proper like scream, heel stuff.
Yeah.
Rat bastards, bullying bastards kicking around backstage. You want to be scared of the group. You want to be scared of bumping into them in the locker room.
Yeah.
I'm in a bit of a spot here now, though, because I've gone too far ahead in the show. I need to sort of go back. And any noise that we could put into... Thanks very much. Hook comes down to the ring after the Shelton Carl Fletcher match. He calls out Nick Wayne. Obviously, there's the Hammerstein Ballroom challenge that's been laid out. But he says, I want to kick your ass right now. I want to fight Christian Cage at Hammerstein. Patriarchy's music hits, but we only see Christian Cage and Nick Wayne's mom, who thankfully for them, because there's only two of them, has got it going on. Hook is actually obviously attacked by Nick Wayne from behind in the ring by Nick Wayne and Kip Sabian. He fights them both off, but Nick Wayne's mom got it going on. That obviously distracts Hook and allows them to get the beat down on him 3-on-1 with the world title case thing that they've got. And they grab chairs and hit a concerto to Hook's hand, standing tall as security does nothing.
Yeah, I mean, it's every heat angle you've ever seen.
Yeah.
Hook's arm, I'll hold my hands up. If not, it will recover in double quick time. These things often do. And because they often do, it's difficult to take these things seriously in a vacuum. It's just wrestling doing wrestling, and it washes over me with no real effect. That feeling is compounded by the idea that I just don't see it in Hook. I haven't for like years, plural, at this point. His promo again. He's all right in these sort of moody pre-tapes that he can do.
Love them, yeah.
In the live setting, he's not a good promo. Not a good promo. A guy who exuded such just innate young person cool that I don't even understand, but you understand that he's cool. Mm-hmm. He loses that the second he opens his mouth. That was again the case last night. Put that on top of a total boilerplate pro wrestling angle with characters in whom I've lost interest. Like Christian Cage is always great, but I mean, this wasn't.
You're gonna get the big pop when Taz returns to save him.
Yeah. I feel a bit sorry for Hook, which is the worst emotion to feel towards someone like Hook. But it's, you stop being an enigma when you're no longer enigmatic, and that's really hard to sort. You can't put that toothpaste back in the tube, can you?
Looks like he's got 0.4% body fat. Yeah, he's cool. I can't feel sorry for this guy. You can't. It's promotional malpractice.
Have they targeted his hand so that he has to come out with a hook for a hand? Christian Cage. Oh my God. That's crazy.
Yeah, they're going to chop his fucking arm off and put a hook on it just for your bullshit. That's what they're going to do. That's what they're going to do.
Watch Hook at the weekend. Class.
I hate it.
I don't like it at all.
I don't like Hook.
That film gives me the ick.
It gives me the ick. We've discussed this actually a couple of months ago.
You did, yeah. I'm bang around through and through, baby.
Not for me.
Rufio.
Shut up. I hate Rufio. Glad he
meant to.
But then you see it's in
then he gets his hero death.
Well, don't spoil it. People aren't seen it yet.
Don't bother. Do not bother.
You'll be a Gooniesman though, won't you? Yeah, it's in that Goonies
Never seen Goonies.
I mean, if you like Hook,
Goonies is charming.
You'll love the Goonies. Like the Goonies.
Told you, I don't really like Robin Williams.
Nah,
I mean,
not till he got
1 hour photo.
Yeah, I don't want to disrespect the dead and all that. Like,
yeah.
I haven't seen a single Robin Williams film that I've enjoyed.
Corruption era Robin, like after he's been like kidnapped by Malachi Black era Robin Williams.
So I think it's like the bookends are good, where he does some serious character acting later on in the career, and then his early stuff, which I've not seen as like the good comedy vehicles. I've only ever seen completely saccharine Robin Williams, who I know we've been through this before, who I equate with the worst trips to the cinema of my life. It's so difficult to ruin a trip to the cinema for a child. Jack.
Toys.
The toys.
Flubber?
Never seen Flubber. I learned my lesson by then. Learned my lesson by then.
You're a Jumanji man. Have you seen the original Jumanji?
Yeah, but the rebooted franchise clears.
I don't like the original Jumanji.
I don't like The Rock.
Just play something else. Play Uno. Don't play the board game that can result in certain death.
They don't know that.
I know, well, and then they start to realise, but it's like, now they're just...
Too late.
It's too late then.
Just trapped in the adventure. It's their own fault.
I
take quite a hardline stance on those films.
No, because you would identify with Jumanji. I'll play the board game indoors. That's you.
It's already...
You think they should have played the Mega Drive?
I think they should have,
watch the Fed next
Just sat quietly, yeah. Like, I don't like board games.
Quietly
I don't like family games at Christmas. Like, we're not...
There's always fallout. I can't be asked.
Playing family, right? And like when you got like other family members or distant family members, friends, whatever, it's like this thing where, you know how we've been like talking and spending time together all day? Now we'll do the thing that only really exists as a bit of an icebreaker for this, that like, you want to get the board game out literally the second people walk through the door, otherwise it serves no purpose.
Otherwise, it's a total argument factory. Yeah. It's an argument factory in a box.
At this point, you had time to remember little grudges, and then the game will bring those out.
No.
I think it's flawed, really flawed.
You got to come to Wilborn Family Charades, mate. It'll change your world.
No.
I don't like charades.
What come to mine for Christmas?
Charades gives me the ick too. When I think about it, charades gives me the idea of like, something makes us cringe. I will not play. I will take my digestives to the toilet, thank you.
I just
I'll
think
wait for the game to be finished.
I understand the idea behind playing board games as a family.
Yeah.
To a degree of like a structured activity is sometimes better for you than just watching the telly. You know, if we just watched the telly, you wouldn't have had this argument.
It's a really well marketed like big game. I think have like presented this idea of how fun the time is and don't tell the truth. When people joke about like
The youngest kids always want to win, and
we don't play
you have to
Monopoly
gimmick
because
it.
it always ends up in a fight, and it's like, why is Monopoly the only one getting grief? It's kind of
It's
most
kind
games.
of all of them, yeah.
I've got some new ones that are quite good. Like Cash and Guns is quite good, but like you say, once you introduce kids into the equation, they have to win. So that game is.
I should point out, I'm not talking about like these, like board game, like there's board game aficionados, like we're wrestling fans.
Yeah,
there's these things
bloody
like,
nerds. Yeah,
that take days, or you have like a room set up to play. Like that's different. I'm not on about that. I'm like on about like the rules take 5 minutes, ages 4 to 100, whatever. Like
I will say, if you take, no offense, I love them so much. If you take the kids out of the equation and do a dinner party board game, that's quite fun at times. Like we did, like when we all sort of like, well, some of my partner's friends settled down and got their own places and all the rest of it. You do like a come dine with me hop around, and we hosted one in like our old flat years and years and years and years and years ago, and we decided to play Pictionary. Just Pictionary's easy. You can draw some silly things, and there's always rubbish at art and all that kind of stuff. So we're playing Pictionary, and it was Francis's best friend and her husband who were having their go, and they had to guess between them.
Yeah,
and he drew a fish and a sword. And she kept saying, fish sword, fish sword, fish sword, fish sword. This guy was like, come on. He was like gesticulating. Fish sword, fish sword.
The Family Guy, it's a jackal, it's a jackal, it's a jackal is like very well observed.
Yeah.
Like Articulate is one I quite like.
yes.
Like you can
Articulate Cranium's good.
Cranium's too involved again. It's like
Gotta get some Play-Doh.
It's the mime round. It's the Play-Doh round.
That's very, very well born.
It's more to clear up, innit?
I'm a born dad in a way, because my dad would like clearly. I only know it now as an adult myself. He would hate these things, but he would get involved because he knew he had to. He'd sort of sign on for this sort of stuff when he become a dad. But I remember him like just like wanting to just sit on the sofa and will you roll for me, son? And I'm like, yeah, I'll roll. So I'm that dad.
Yeah.
And I'm that dad.
Play for me, son.
I'm that dad before I had kids. Like if I was in that situation, I'd be like, can I just sit and watch? Can I play in name only? Adele, can you do all the bits
Yeah.
Do you know what you two be a good team for?
Well, the dice has gone under the couch.
Do you know
a wrestling podcast.
obviously, number one. But a game I played over the weekend called Code Names. It's really good. I might bring it in. We'll play it one day. For before Christmas, we bring games in.
It's a primary school.
You certainly
It's to
did.
me, mate.
You brought in freaking
I know.
crack and ball or whatever it was last year. You got
That was funny.
that was good. Ball in a bucket. How's that work?
It probably takes too long to explain right now, but you basically lay out loads of cards and they've all got words on them, and you have to say a word to make your partner guess the right words, but you've got to guess the right words that like link them, but also not step on the minds.
2 seconds into that explanation, you know that image of was it Jimmy Carter, the 100-year-old president? Every time someone tries to explain the rules of a board game to me, I was going, sorry, I just do.
Press the USA button for the president.
It's happened my whole life.
Press it for the president. Respect for the president.
Respect Jimmy Carter.
Of course, for Jimmy Carter.
And God bless the United States.
It's just what I do, man. I just don't really. I'm not going to follow instructions.
He's like absolutely nailed on. That's exactly how I feel. They've not even got the. You have to keep them in a certain box, a certain drawer, a certain cupboard. As soon as somebody even goes to the.
It's like, so do you start at this or like?
Anyway, back to Dynamite. Renee's
I
backstage.
think about that so much on Christmas Day.
You're just going to send that on you in a group. It's happened. Right.
Dad, Santa's been. It's 5 a.m. It's 5. Santa doesn't get it till 6:15. We discussed it.
I don't know how to play my new toy. Are there any? It says it needs batteries.
Do you, in the Hamlet household, it's like, we got to leave milk and carrot for Rudolph and a mince pie. Do you leave crisps out for Santa?
Yeah, it's always the things that like you want to eat.
Let's leave some Skittles Chewies out for Santa. I think he likes them.
Santa loves beef crisps.
He's got a lot of presents to deliver, so you best leave a multi-pack.
Yeah.
Right, back to Dynamite. Renee, approaches a Mercedes.
Money.
What do you think Mercedes money?
Next time there's a bad Dynamite, that's the thumbnail.
I got Tony Khan's face on it.
Anyway, Mercedes interrupts her and says, Indianapolis, say hello to your CEO. I don't know why she's Tiffany Stratton all of a sudden.
Sidgwick FTR defeated the varsity athletes on Collision. What did you think? Right, okay, let's move on. Last one.
Renee wants to know what Mercedes makes of Camille being attacked. And Money doesn't really care. She says, she doesn't work for me anymore. Why should I care? I'm more concerned about Anna Jay, who stuck her nose in her business. She must have decoded the whole take a big swing thing like I did from Collision. She's going to be watching her match tonight because there's a price to pay when you mess with Money. Yeah, more on this later, I suppose.
Yeah.
She had a good night. I thought she
was
had a good
quite
night.
funny
Confident.
here. Yeah.
Freedom of a new storyline and a bit of a character shift, maybe.
Yeah. The old baggage gone.
Yeah.
Then it was time, after the MVP Syndicate thing we mentioned, for the Dynamite Dozen Battle Royal. Cole and O'Reilly were in it, and other people.
It's already. Okay.
Jimmy Carter is a Samata.
Yeah. I am thinking he is 100, so this could date quite badly.
Yes. And very soon.
Yeah.
Lance Archer, Brian Cage, Rocky Romero, Leo Rush, Action Andretti, Mark Davis, the Martins, Evil Uno. What are you laughing at?
Well, you were reading the roster. Because it's like, this is mid-ass battle royal.
It was
we were all pretty hyped.
possibly win it.
We were all pretty hyped for it, and then it ended up a bit mid.
The moment they announced,
It was really quiet as well.
Aye.
I mean, we knew, we speculated yesterday because I think we thought it was the win. You just win, one person wins this and they fight MJF.
They changed the freaking rules this thing. Every year they're like, twist.
Yeah. Either way, MJF's leaving with a ring.
Yeah.
Because, I'm not sure if this was the case last year, but regardless, the last two men remaining will fight next week, and the winner of that fights MJF at World's End for the beautiful Diamond Ring. Evil Uno does the Adam Cole pose early on.
Pop me.
Yeah.
Good.
And then just immediately gets eliminated by, I think, Mark Davis. Everyone teams up on
Nice
the...
because they play video games together as well, don't they? So that was nice for them.
Chugs.
Chugs.
That's Adam Cole, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
That's where his heart is.
Yeah. It's the all-time, is it Trevor Dame?
Oh, Kirby. Is there anything you won't eat? What a tweet that was.
Like all the punk fight out in the back.
Remember Phil's tweet about Kirby when his missus has made the Kirby fan?
Yes.
Someone, there's a Johnny in the background.
I'm sure it got like 300k likes or whatever.
It was all over Reddit, I think, yeah. Everyone teams up on...
His flat's nice and cool and he's a safe sex habit.
Everyone teams up on Cage and Archer.
Johnny in the back.
I need to find that tweet. Oh, someone's having sex. Everyone teams up. They obviously clear.
It's Christmas party day, people.
Yeah.
It is.
If you hadn't guessed already.
Oh, God.
I haven't had a drink yet.
No.
No.
Leo Rush and...
I could fancy a nice drop right now, to be honest.
Yeah. Leo Rush and Action Andretti sidestep the big men and then eliminate Top Flight after a little nod to each other. Davis hits the Butcher. Oh, yeah, the Butcher. I forgot to mention him. Davis hits the Butcher with a brainbuster, then tries to take on Cage and Archer. That doesn't end well. He gets eliminated if we go to a break. When we come back, Rocky Romero, Action Andretti are fighting on the apron. Kyle O'Reilly pump kicks Andretti out. Romero low bridges Leo Rush, who gets knocked out by O'Reilly. He saves O'Reilly, does Romero, from the choke bomb from Archer and Cage, but he gets just launched onto the pile outside. Butcher gets hit with an enziguri. Cole eliminates him. Now, final four is Cole, O'Reilly, Archer, and Cage. Cage no-sells a super kick from Cole, who low bridges Cage. They fight on the apron. He super kicks the leg, tries the Panama Sunrise, but Cage catches him. Cole lands back in the ring, and he and O'Reilly both hit baseball slides to Cage and Archer to eliminate them. They win the Battle Royal, of course, Cole and O'Reilly. Cole tries to offer a handshake, but O'Reilly just brushes past him. They face next week.
I wake up early to watch these gimmicks. Like, did they even mention that Kyle O'Reilly's got really good Battle Royal form or law? That was weird. That's the sort of thing that AEW, when it's really firing, usually is on top of. This is really boring. Really boring with a lot of under characters. And they tried to sell, oh my God, Leo Rush and Action Andretti have just eliminated Top Flight, and no one knew that it was a bad thing for them to do. Yeah. So it's one of those AEW, sometimes it feels like they've got so many wrestlers, and then other times it feels like they've got no one, which tells you rather a lot about the state of the promotion. Currently, do I need to see Kyle O'Reilly and Adam Cole wrestle another match? Not for 1 million years.
More bad news for this story, and it's not even AEW's fault this week. Kyle O'Reilly and Adam Cole having this storyline in the week of the New Day split.
And
8 days of it, if you count Monday and Kofi and Woods' last fight before what we got with Big E. That's not even AEW's fault, but it's like you can't help but do it, can you?
Yeah.
I feel absolutely like he shoulder barges past him. It's like, whatever. Like, we're so...
I know.
Like,
the worst thing is, like, the New Day, like, Whisper It, before all this kicked off or started to simmer, was one of the very few acts where it's like Levesque thinking, you got everybody else over, what's your problem with these two?
Yeah.
And the fact that now they are really, really cooking something with a great, great storyline, then you've got this. It's like you make the comparisons.
Mm. I couldn't decide whether I wanted it to be like, it's one of Cage and Archer in the final, because then that's incredibly predictable that whoever it is out of Cole and O'Reilly is obviously going to go and fight. Cole is going to fight MJF at World's End, or it to be these two fighting each other. But I was just like, it's incredibly predictable, like you say.
Yeah, just it hampered the match. Like, they can't. What does it say even about the prize that this was the field?
Yeah,
what does it say?
I know.
You don't even necessarily.
There was a lot wrong with it.
Yeah,
a lot wrong with it. And again, the Battle Royale is, as we talked about extensively, like a good vehicle for subplots and to involve sort of your tertiary characters into the mix. Not a one of them is over.
The losers, not to be cruel,
even
all
the
wrestlers,
even
but
the main stars in this match weren't over.
The lower tier, let's not be cruel. Like, the lower tier wrestlers might want the ring. The two people that were the obvious favourites to win and did don't even want the ring. They want MJF.
Yes.
You've made a bit of a mess there. Like, it's the latest bit of the Adam Cole MJF stuff that just, God, when it's all over for all of them. Like,
World's End to World's End, you called it. But we'll preview it next week. Moving on, we have a vignette all about Jamie Hayter.
I think she's great.
It's Julia Hart, obviously, talking about Jamie Hayter and her comeback. She had the return of a lifetime. Now it's Julia Hart's turn. There's masks, blood on them and things like that. Hayter should watch her back. The house always wins.
Yeah, same again.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
It's wheel spinning a bit. I like it, though. You mentioned it, I think, in the preview yesterday. No belts. Genuinely unpredictable feud. Characters feel alive. Hayter later on. I think there's more to Hayter's words later than the Julia Hart video.
Yeah, but it's
very interesting.
Bit of subtext there.
Yeah.
So we go backstage to the acclaimed Daddy Ass, and Renee's like, everything all right? No.
Have you noticed that Daddy Ass is conspicuously back on the scene when he's not there to be called a loser by the Hurt Syndicate? Have you noticed this?
I really wanted to be right. Not to be right, but just to be like, come on, Sish. There's sometimes too cynical. And it's like, not when we're talking about Billy Gunn.
No. Where was he on those segments, though?
Yeah.
Funny.
He's spent the past hour...
Now that there's somebody else who's worse than him in the storyline, you can't really get rid of him.
Like, MVP getting your head. Because he wouldn't get him, man. He doesn't want me around.
It's a fortress, goddammit.
He says he's spent the past hour trying to talk Max out of facing Swerve, MVPs and Caster's head. He can't think straight. Yes, he's the best wrestler in the world, but he's going about this all wrong.
Says the best pure athlete in WWE.
Not thinking of the whole pie, Jenny.
But Bowen says, call yourself the best wrestler alive? Go out and prove it. And Max takes this as a fully throated endorsement, apparently. Yeah, I need everyone's support tonight. Everyone, hands in. 1, 2, 3. It's all him. No one else is doing it. Best wrestler! Max walks up. He's a brilliant knobhead, isn't he?
It's good stuff.
Yeah, he's a good dumb dickhead.
And immediately following that, face with Strickland got his ass handed to him. He did a rap about stealing money like Hunter Biden. Everyone loves the best wrestler alive. And Swerve just takes his head off with a boot. And then just chucks him around. I thought for a split second the entire match was going to be him throwing into guardrails and then hitting a finish.
Yeah.
It almost was.
Yeah. Caster tries a famouser when they get in the ring, but Strickland's like, no, I'm not doing that. Sidesteps it, suplex to send Caster back outside. Caster got in a springboard attack, but Strickland straight back up. 3 house calls, 1, 2, 3. Post-match, he's going to leave, and he thinks, no, I'm going to lay in a little bit more, and just goes up top. He's sort of like, he was going to do it, obviously, but it felt like he was like, should I do it? And he like took 1 foot on the turnbuckle, and I was like, yay! And to do another one, and then he gets to the top. Swerve stomp onto Max Caster, and he yells down the camera lens afterwards. He's not wasting his time. There's little left of 2024. He and Lashley have unfinished business.
Brilliant bit of business. Good booking.
You called it, yeah. Both of you said keep it short and sweet.
I mean, they didn't succumb to the usual. Should we just do an extra 5 minutes on this? It's about the best wrestle. Yep. And they just told the story that needed to be told. Max Caster already feels like completely rejuvenated from 3-4 weeks ago. This is the
in
best.
A squash, weirdly.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Story, innit? Like, this was a flawless bit of wrestling television for me. Really, really love this direction with Max Caster. Important for Swerve.
Yes.
We talk about how, like, protecting wrestlers has almost become, like, a curse on bookers sometimes, but it started once upon a time before, like, 2010's WWE killed everything.
Yeah.
I was like, you were supposed to protect some wrestlers. Some of them on the way up, some on the way down. So this was necessary for Swerve, but the manner in which he did it is the reminder of why he's had the year he's had, why he's had the period he's had in AEW, truthfully, like, going back the last couple of years. That's a point I wanted to make about Swerve Strickland, and we've seen him do it in person at Wembley, and it knocks your dick off, and now we're starting to see it more and more. He's got that genius in him because he's normalised being a bit of a hawk / Undertaker when it comes to one specific nose cell, and it's one of the biggest pops of the match, and like it's a really cool thing to do, and one of these days he's going to do it on like a super finish, like he's going to Tiger Driver 91 or something, like Hawk used to do it with a pile driver, for example. And you're not going to know where to put yourself, and it's going to be absolutely awesome. Yeah. That's just great as a spot, but it's that's one of your abiding memories of Wembley. Yeah, and it's like that's kind of ingenious because it also makes you look like the hardest wrestler. Yeah. Imagine pitching that backstage. I'm the hardest. It's a Scott Hall thing. Nice finisher. Can't wait to kick out of it. As a spot, deadly. I'm going to brush it off. In fact,
but you don't think, this is ridiculous.
No,
it's
you need the aura to carry it off. Yes. Good point.
This was tremendous. I'm so locked into where they're going next with this Max Caster thing as well. Like the Hurt Syndicate, we on this very show saw what MVP thinks of losers. So do they make the one exception to try and have a bit of a project in Max Caster, or is this one big swerve and they're like, Bowens, it was you all along, Bowen.
Yeah.
Like, it's got so many different ways it could go that, and all of them interesting. And all of them, hopefully, with Billy Gunn getting his arse handed to him. Yeah. Rather than going 50-50 with Bobby Lashley or something like that.
We are getting, remember, the acclaimed Anthony Bowen, Billy Gunn.
We're both tall, Bobby.
Yeah.
So,
good news, Sidge. MJF has emerged out of the lair.
Yay! Hey!
He was at a bar.
Where he should be.
He's talking about,
he's a young international superstar millionaire celebrity in 2024 and not 1605. So get out of the lair, go to the bars, chuck some chum around. That's why you're a young sex-having dude. That's what I want to see.
He's dating that girl, isn't he? Alicia, what's her surname? Alicia.
Two.
Bless you. So MJF says
it's all good stuff.
MJF says everything's worked out perfectly tonight.
Sure has for you, isn't it?
I'm going to need new trousers.
I think you will after a certain segment we're going to cover later.
MJF brings up Better Than You, Baby, Cole's buy-side for a record-breaking run. And then Cole turned on MJF thinking Max would turn first, but Cole hasn't got any proof that was going to happen. And now, because of Adam Cole, Roderick Strong's arm's broken. Now he's going to have to beat the hell out of his mate, Kyle O'Reilly, to just try and get his hands on him. And now this chaos that Moxley and the Death Riders are doing in AEW wouldn't have happened if MJF was world champion. He says Cole is pretending to be the hero. He's nothing but the jaundice-infected villain. And he knows Cole can't beat O'Reilly. And for that, Cole can thank him later.
Their continued attempts to make this make sense are completely fundamentally flawed. The very best I can hope for personally with an MJF promo is, can he say something unconscionably cruel that I can pop at because I have a dark sense of humor? And he did. So job well done.
Yeah. He's never wrong when he says all this, is he? Because he's talking about the devil.
Yeah, I know.
It's not his fault, but like that's always the reality of this heel doing the thing where it's like, it's your fault. Well, actually, it's your fault. He's got a point, devil.
Got a great point, devil.
With this one, I am trying to remember how their Wembley match made me feel. And yes, it was in the middle of a story that hadn't been completely destroyed by bad timing, injuries, and the devil.
Awful logic and booking as well.
And starting to work my way back to thinking, they always had really good physical chemistry. Always. The Dynamite match was tremendous. Like the 5 more minutes thing. Like, maybe it'll come good in the end. Just when the bell rings, maybe this one will come good.
We'll see.
Then it was time for Switchblade Jay White versus Pac. There's a nice video package recapping what's gone on. A Wheeler Ute out there because he tried to run distraction immediately. But White's like, I'm not doing that. He sidesteps Pac, nails him with some chops. Pac almost gets caught very early with a Blade Runner, so he bails to the outside. He was like, come on, mate. He's like, get away from me. White, when he gets back in, fires off some jabs. Back body drop gets 2. But there's a bit where Pac sends White into the ropes, fakes a clean break, tries to cheap shot him, but White sends him over the top with an exploder. There's a fight on the apron, front suplex on there, but Yuta trips him up, allowing Pac to gain control and chuck Jay White into the barricade to go into break. When we come back, Pac gets spiked like with a DDT.
Oh my god! Oh my god!
You don't need me to explain what that looks like. It's the one that Pac does. The cell force, amazing. Again, Pac goes to the outside. White wise to this now, sidesteps the ref and goes after him. There's a bounce back German from Pac fighting out of a Uranagi. White hits one though after that for a double down. Pac eventually goes up top, rolls through a shooting star attempt after Jay White moves. They trade some counters. White hits a sleeper suplex.
The struggle towards that was great.
Jay White's the most frustrating wrestler.
I know, this is so class, wasn't it?
I couldn't. There are weeks when you cannot take your eyes off Jay White. You're
the crowd bought him as the next big thing, yeah.
Begging the producer, if he's not completely in shot, to see what he's doing while the other wrestlers, because you want to see how Jay White's reacting to what the other wrestlers are doing, like the stuff with you.
Yeah.
Sorry for...
That's all right.
He is the most captivating guy in the whole industry on his good weeks. And then for 4 boring ones, and you're like, oh, I was fooled again.
Yeah.
He's so frustrating in how incredible he is when he steals focus like almost nobody else.
Yeah.
And then he has give a toss for weeks on it. Man.
He's going to be an enigma for the rest of his career.
Yeah.
At one point, after White tried for a Blade Runner, Pac jumped into a brutalizer. White's still standing. He slowly fights. Yeah.
Oh my god.
Collapses basically into the ropes. Pac uses the whole 5 count. An homage to Bryan Danielson again. And Yuta pulls White to the floor and just hits the Busaiku knee. Chucks him back in. Pac picks him up out of nowhere. Jay White pulls out the Desperation Blade Runner and gets the 1, 2, 3. Post-match, Yuta's like, it's all right, I'll deal with him. He gets hit with a Blade Runner. But here comes Marina Shafir. There's a face-off between her and Jay White. And that allows Jon Moxley to, of course, attack from behind. Hits the paradigm shift. They're about to leave the Death Riders. But Hangman Page walks out and stares him down. And it looks like they're going to come together. And then a cameraman, seemingly, or a member of the production, attacks Jon Moxley from behind. He chokes him with a cable cord. I knew it wasn't Rush because it was a black cable cord. But it was Orange Cassidy. And the fight's on. And Moxley and Yuta send Page to the outside. And it's just Orange Cassidy and Jon Moxley. Cassidy hits him with an orange punch. White hits a Blade Runner on him. There's a moment between Cassidy and White staring each other down. And Moxley's stumbling all over the place, and Page flies in with a buckshot. This alliance against an uneasy alliance, but an alliance nonetheless.
The alliance to end Moxley Mania.
And we saw Christian Cage standing in the heel tunnel with this world title contract as well.
A 5-way match.
Yeah.
This match, honestly, I watch so many wrestling matches per week. I cannot tell you, I kind of try and do it most weeks. Or try and hide it on some. All right, okay, that was good. Whatever. That was pretty good. That made me feel something. There are so few matches where I watch it and go, God, I'd love 5 more minutes of that. I've got 5 hours too much wrestling in my week, to be honest. I wanted 5 more minutes of this. I wanted them to run it back. I thought the crowd were with them. Jay White, I felt watching this, Jay White's performance and the reaction to it was so good. Like the structure, the counters, the way they struggled towards it. It didn't feel like that obligatory dance that the Jay White match can sometimes feel like. I felt like he'd earned that crowd response, and that crowd response was something. It's always going to stand out during this pretty bleak era of Dynamite to begin with. But I watched this and I just thought, do we have to do the 5-way?
It's the most
Or the
baby. I
4-way.
know he's been a babyface for a while, but it's the most babyface I've felt about Jay White for a long time.
Yeah, I watched this and thought, you know what? If he beats Pac, he should have the main event with Moxley. And I meant it with no irony or, dickheaded, disingenuous stuff whatsoever. Just felt like, he's a great pay-per-view challenger. Can not just do a singles? That's how good Jay White's performance was. I need to see this again.
Was this the best ever version of the worst ever finish? Because this was SummerSlam 2010, Cena versus the Nexus. Finisher on the floor, straight back in, bang.
Yeah.
I
didn't care.
I did not care.
I usually would.
But
It's not his finish, is it? It's not Utah's finish.
Yeah.
But the beside death blow followed by rolled in, you could that once upon a time made Wade Barrett and Justin Gabriel look like complete clowns and idiots. And that could have happened here. But Jay White had such credit in the bank, the way the match had gone, the Jay White school of countering, he's got a snap finisher in him that should be a threat to every single wrestler he faces. And when it resonates, it hits more than most of the things on the show. If it hadn't been kicked out of as much as it had, it's almost as effective as the One-Winged Angel, but in a completely different way. Because the whole point of the One-Winged Angel is it's a right knack at a setup, but it's because of its devastation. Jay White is it might not devastate him, but he'll hit you with it, And I just thought of the John Cena finish and thought how differently this came across. It was you cannot leave him for a second. This is on. You talk about Shelton earlier on, not out cheating. This is on Pac for not covering him quicker, or picking him up to do what you wanted to do with him. The friggin' the whole deal when Jay White was turning to each side of the building to get the reaction as he had Pac on his back, while Daddy Magic was screaming, "Fall back!" That whole scene. I was if people had the kids in there, they'd be throwing them up in the air.
Yeah.
Come on, Jay!
Where did this come from?
Totally wowed by this.
How did this dude have that match with Christian Cage? It's the enigma. I can't talk about it anymore. Every podcaster ever, when they talk about Jay White, seeks to solve the enigma. It can't be cracked. That code will never be cracked.
You sympathise with Tony Khan or whoever the booker, don't you? Because you're there it is. Yeah, all right. Well, I guess we're doing a run. 4 boring weeks later. This was a mistake. I don't know. He's amazing when he's amazing.
I just love it.
It's one of my top 5 matches of all time. That Ibushi G1 final is it's unbelievable. It's a perfect wrestling match.
And now they've got this weird Orange Cassidy, Hangman Page, and Jay White. There's a tag match, I think. Is it next week?
Yeah. Claudio and Pac versus...
It's Mox and Pac, actually.
Is it?
I think.
Yeah. I love...
because he'll be in the... It will be Mox... Is it?
Yeah, it is.
Let me look this up.
Mox and Pac versus... Yeah.
Thank God it was this crowd for this angle, by the way, because they've sort of earned this moment, capital M, with Hangman Page and the buckshot, and they've earned the kind of the weird feeling of all right.
Oh, just seeing the card for next week.
You got excited.
Looks real tasty.
Jay White and Orange Cassidy, opposite side of the world wrestlers coming together. How can they coexist? It's this cliche thing in wrestling, but they have kind of earned these little alliances, even if it's to build to a 4-way, 5-way, whatever. in a dead building. This is like nightmarish stuff.
Hangman's
finally hitting the bookshot. Like, is he finding the true Hangman Page within, all that sort of stuff? And then imagine if it's just crickets.
Yeah, I know.
Oh my God, not only have you killed him as a heel, you've killed his big babyface moment where he starts to see the light. Thank God we had a hot building for it, because I thought this angle came across really, really well. John Moxley about to hop the fence and Hangman Page's music hitting. It proper got me, because I was like, stay there, Moxley. Let's have some more of this. And then as a result, because you're thinking that, you're totally thrown off when Orange Cassidy attacks. Like,
really well done.
If I love this story more, I'd be even higher on this Death Riders thing. Maybe the best week for their brand of chaos.
Yes.
Yeah, it's Mox and Pac versus Cassidy and Jay White. Cole O'Reilly, women's world title match, of course. And in the C2, Brody King versus Ricochet. And Will Ospreay versus Claudio Castagnoli.
Didn't they have a match earlier this year and it was good, not great?
Maybe.
Might be different now with Claudio being different gravy Death Rider.
We're on there. That's winter is coming, right?
Mm-hmm. Sure is.
Anything on that?
No. Jamie Hayter.
This is great.
Is backstage saying Julie Hart's mind games don't work for her. She's more of a face-to-face or a fist-to-face kind of gal. Everyone and their mothers were pissed off about her return at Wembley.
Yeah.
Don't know why Hart cares. She came back to Hayter came back to right wrongs and settle scores, something Hart has nothing to do with. Talks about the International Women's Cup meaning a lot to her. She's going to take it all the way. You can't fight what you can't see. So when Hart decides to make her comeback, the last thing she'll see is looking up at Jamie Hayter.
Yeah, the subtext was pretty glowing here. Big letters. I think maybe she was talking about Saraya's big moment at Wembley. She interrupted it, and I think she was talking about the people who are pretty gutted that someone like Hayter, who had all the momentum in the world, surefire, multiple-time AEW Women's World Champion, who was going to have this grudge rivalry with Britt Baker for the ages. Nope. And just been mishandled, and it felt like she was communicating that message. She looked really unhappy last week as well.
The injury, took something away from her, but in storylines in wrestling, that's supposed to be a gift when you recover, isn't it? And the resentment of not getting the gift of that big return, sort of spewed out of here. That life was special to me, and now it's gone, and I'm not sure why. And as a wrestler, you can't say bad booking. But as a wrestler, you can say bad booking without saying bad booking. And I like this because Jamie Hayter's a wrestler you want to fight for, isn't she? So this was good stuff.
And Luring Tree, Chris Jericho, New York Minute. Keep him to a minute, that's fine. He calls himself the King of New York. He plugs Final Battle for Ring of Honor and the upcoming shows at the Hammerstein Ballroom. Plugs All in Texas as well. And he says he's going to announce his opponent for Final Battle on ROH. Well, tonight, I suppose.
I mean, we can't spoil it, but there's some interesting business going on right now.
Interesting business. Beyond that,
you haven't seen it.
No.
Do we?
No,
we'll not.
We'll not. There might be some really
people that pay for it.
There might be some really hardcore ROH fan out there.
And he was an ex-president.
Yeah. Here's something.
Have you just
I've
seen
just looked it up.
It's interesting.
Okay, look it up if you want. Here's something about this promo which I didn't want to enjoy. Not to be not to make true Meltzer's write-up in the Observer last week, but there's an element of truth of I am kind of resisting Jericho right now because of things that you should be reporting about. When he got the nickname of New York City wrong the first time,
yes,
I did say, has he got that wrong? That's a different one. And then he did it again. I'm like, you son of a bitch.
That's what he's done forever.
Yeah, I quite liked it. I'm sorry.
No,
he got the Big Easy.
Yeah, that was it.
And then he said another one. I can't remember what it was.
No, this was always one of his.
Kirk Angel.
Yeah,
I hated that, but this is quite good.
It's charmless trash, but he tries it enough that some do work.
Yeah. The force of Wilborn.
Yeah,
you ever seen Wilborn and Jericho in the same room?
No. I'd say that's Wilborn's choice.
Yeah.
I nearly leapt out of bed at what came next this morning because I thought we were going to genuinely get the debut of the Collision Cops on AEW Dynamite. Because
we shout out to Matt Reigns, by the way.
Yes.
Tweeted us that, thinking the exact same thing.
We go to a cowboy town who needs a sheriff. Well, he's got a sheriff, but
it's really well produced, this.
Yeah.
I was like, what's this all about? They're talking, two cowboys talking about somebody returning soon. As soon as the Outlaw returns, everyone's in trouble. There's a wanted sign.
Based on reports, Matt, but truer than we would like, Deputy Dex.
But they're talking about Bandido.
Would you, if you were them, have revealed that it was Bandido? Or would you think, now they'll think it's a new debut? And
Yeah.
I would have gone, I would have, yes, because now you can look at Julia Hart and a couple of others. You are if fans don't really feel like that arse the person is missing because the roster is so bloated, make that feeling within them. And there's so many wrestlers. Like, I would like to see Bandido back, but I would just as much
he was
like
on great form.
Yeah, but there's always 10 other guys that could fill my heart instead. But this way, they tell you, get hyped.
Yeah.
And I think that's good. Good practice.
I'm not necessarily saying he's better. He had a better match with Danielson than Takeshita did, in my opinion, during that MJF run of the gauntlet.
Yes. Yeah.
So, he's got Bandido's class. And a great match with Jericho as well.
I just love the vignette. Yes, keep going back there. I love it. Right, sorry, Sige. Just checking my notes here. It's time for the one women's match on the card, and you'll never guess where it happened.
We're not, in case you've persevered and this is your first podcast, I'm not ruling my ideas at the idea of a women's match. I just want to make that explicitly clear.
As will be explained in due course at the end of this.
Yeah, for 2 hours.
It was Anna Jay and Penelope Ford. There was also a video package talking about how much they've kicked the crap out of each other and bled all over the place, of course. Despite that, Anna Jay offers a handshake at the start of the match, to which Penelope Ford's not having that, so Jay just shoves her down. They go back and forth. Jay wants a hanging neck breaker between the ropes, but Ford rakes the eyes and hits a springboard double knees on the apron. They try and fight to throw each other into the guardrail, and then Ford just kicks Jay and sends her into the steps, takes to a break. We come back, Ford's in control, hits a handspring corner elbow, looks for a moonsault, but Jay sweeps out the legs, finally hits a hanging neck breaker. Ford comes back with a pump kick. Jay responds with a thrust kick. Ford does that awesome Matrix thing that she does, avoids the Queen Slayer with a cutter for 2. Ford misses a moonsault. Jay hits a shotgun drop kick. Ford avoided a gory bomb and hit a drop kick into the ropes. She gets the bridging deathlock, but Jay gets the ropes. Ford argues with the ref, and that allows Jay to hit the gory bomb for the win. Let's talk match, then we'll talk post-match.
Yeah, this is bad, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't want to be too harsh. It was bad. There was a bit very, very early before I got gobbled up by a commercial break. So by the time they got a little bit more on the same page at the finish, I was already checked out a little bit. There's a bit. They're telling the story. Penelope Ford's got ring rust. Penelope Ford's got ring rust. Penelope Ford's got ring rust. I'm a fan of hers, and I think they should persevere. But my God, Anna Jay looked like she hadn't wrestled in about 8 months here. She had this weird thing where I think they'd got lost, and Anna Jay moved as if she'd been thrown into the barricade. She actually sort of floated into the barricade herself. And Penelope Ford kind of like, I'll kick you when you're down. And then she turned around and she looked pretty pissed off. Get into the ring, commercial, back from commercial. And then they do some pretty sloppy spots. And then the finish, I didn't think this was good at all. And if you're going to, it's a shame. And it's just one night. And Anna Jay's been on form. She had a great match on Collision against, I can't remember the opponent, but it was really, really strong. And she had a great showing of herself against Mariah May. This is the absolute last match she wanted to have before she was going for Mercedes. Shit was going well for her until last night.
Yeah, and you can have bad nights, and it
Viva Van?
I think it was pretty good.
Like you certainly never want any wrestler to be derailed completely by one bad night, but especially in like a women's division where it's hard enough to get that time. I was thinking in this match, it's AEW was sometimes by design not allowed itself to be one singular thing, and that's often great and often a problem. It's because it's everything. You talk about Tony Khan's greed, and what that brings is so many wrestlers with so many styles, and it's almost impossible for AEW to have a house style. And then we see what the house style is, and that's really unfortunate, which is the like back and forth supplanter match on the wrestlers match rather than the wrestlers being in it. And that's what happened here. Like, I felt like this was a house style,
pretty soulless 50-50 layout.
50-50, find a bit of acclaim if you can type thing being supplanted on 2 wrestlers. And then when something would go wrong, or when, like it would just feel like the chemistry was a little bit off. It's like, well, we're in it now, so we've just got in it. You could sense that, like, stop trying to get that train back on the tracks. Like, get on a new train and do this instead.
But they're not trained to do that. It's a different generation.
Yeah.
It's a generation.
And I just don't like it's probably in the same way you talk about like WWE production will always stop you from truly being able to lock in. I think that AEW house style that gets dropped onto wrestlers sometimes is maybe my biggest pet hate in all the wrestling. I see it more there than I see it anywhere, and I include dreadful NXT.
Oh, thank you.
Like, I would rather a botch-laden Christ, that didn't even look good in the performance set, let alone on television, match. So that we can come and have a big laugh about it. But, I would rather one of them.
It's the same difference,
Because I
isn't
like
it?
the aesthetic and the nonsense more than when I see it here.
It's kind of the same difference.
Kind of is, yeah. But I think I like the world better. I like WWE's world better than AEW's. And
I like it better.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's who we are sometimes.
That's who we are.
That's who we are. We're kind of fan, but what we like. And I felt a bit sorry for them again.
Yeah.
Pity. You can't be feeling pity for wrestlers.
So post-match, Anna Jay grabs the mic and calls out Mercedes.
Money.
And she obliges by coming out.
Money. Money.
She says, I've been watching. But let's get something straight. If Chris Statlander can't beat me for the TBS title, she's the biggest and strongest and the best, what makes you believe you can? People call me arrogant, Mercedes says. She says, Mariah May must have kicked you a little too hard in the head, but I admire your confidence. You want a shot? Come back in 10 years when you've done something, kiddo, says Mercedes.
Great line at last.
And Anna Jay says, oh, okay. You mean something like this? And she slaps Mercedes, who retreats. Sorry, I just remember what's going. Retreats. We'll do this on my time. And they go, their time's 2 weeks, because that's when the title match is.
Completely undermined by that terrible Instagraphic thing that AEW does, which I hate.
Loads of these. I like the all-time worst with the Bucks and the Grizzlies. Like, they're never recovered.
It's almost endearing at this point, that Instagraphic trope that they do. It's just so dumb and they'll never learn.
Wrestler even like whispers a match in resistance. Press the button.
Yeah. Well, other than Miro and Kip Sabian versus best friends. I think in retrospect, they were waiting for Statlander.
Yeah.
Here's so this was getting rid of Camille and having that match with Statlander must have done something for Mercedes Money's stock, because she actually felt like the star.
Yeah.
And Anna Jay wrestling me. And it felt like, oh, hang on, that is a mismatch, but they could work the match correct. Like, it felt like she must have done something right in the past 2 or 3 weeks.
Yeah, I thought she had a terrific night tonight, Mercedes Money. I loved her mentioning Mariah May. Be present in the division, even if you want to present yourself as a star that's above it all. Like, she felt connected to everything. She felt like she watches, she scouts, and she understands, and that's why she's where she is and why Anna Jay is all the way down there as a contrast. It's just a night and day from where we've been at with Mercedes Money lately. Great night.
But CJ, as I said, that was the only women's match on the show. We have to get to the name of the game. But before that, the aim of the game.
The aim of the game is to identify to the hour, minute, and second the first time you hear the first note for the first entrance theme for the first woman to come out and compete in the only women's match on Dynamite, which tends to fall at a certain point in the show, which makes me feel certain kind of way. And that certain kind of way is cynical and suspicious. Why is it always, most of the time, right before the last match? And why do you not even get almost a hint that there are other women's wrestlers in AEW for the first hour of the show? Could it just possibly be that either Tony Khan and or Warner don't care much about women's wrestling, feel obliged to promote it nonetheless because, the bloody wokes do, huh? If we didn't put the birds on, God almighty, do I have to? Sadly, yes. Think of the optics. Just put them before the main event, so it's like, it's the birds, but big men coming out after that. So that's something. Stick around after to it. So that's what I feel like is the whole deal here. And you're thinking, that's a mouthful, Sidgwick. Can you not jinglize what you perceive to be that thought process? Yeah, I sure can. Don't worry, guys. When the women come out to play, the main event ain't too far away. That's the aim of the game. And the name of the game is, only on the previews do I take this seriously. Well, this is ladies' night, and I'm thinking, what a night.
Head goes right in the hands every time.
Every single time.
Single time.
That's James and Charlotte when they find this video in a few years' time. Yeah, there's Dad!
We got him. What's that doing?
If they're teenagers and see this,
Yeah. It's like the one thing we know now, we're digital natives, the one thing we know is you put something on the internet, it's like gone the next day.
Yeah.
People forget about it.
I'll be estranged from them.
Shout as always.
They're already getting embarrassed by us, And I'm thinking, how At least wait till you're a teenager. My daughter will say that's cringe. It's like, you're 6.
You're cringe. And storm out. Slam the door.
Out of here.
That's a gift, isn't
Get
it?
the out of here.
Get him to embarrass your kids. That's like
I
one
did
of
it
the
with
great-
James, and he's at that stage where he can still find the humour in it.
Yeah.
So I do a bit of exercise in the morning. And
Where's this going?
hang on.
It's time to play the game! Time to play the game! Ha 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 ha!
I have been doing like 2 10-minute workouts or just exercises a day and then a weekly swim just to try and feel less awful about myself of late.
Okay.
Good for you.
I kind of do like 80s karate stuff in the background. Not the actual stuff.
I've been judging, man, I promise.
No,
I love
man.
it when people are taking care of themselves. I don't want to laugh.
No. The music, I mean, the soundtrack.
I knew that.
The soundtrack. I'm not Mac from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. So that's my soundtrack, okay? So I do like, running on the spot, some star jumps, cardio, things like that. Did it. Which, and sprinkling some wrestling themes of late.
Oh, okay.
Which 2 did I do this morning?
2 wrestling themes.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I'm just picturing you in the Cobra Kai outfit.
James, come here, quick. Come up from behind me. Real
Outrunners.
What?
Outrunners.
No.
Just thinking 80s. Yeah.
Real American, Rick Derringer.
No, but that was last week.
Joey Janela.
Nope.
What's the tag team with Brooks Jensen? What's that one?
Separate Ways.
Nope. Come on.
He's gonna
I
get
know
it.
you. And you know I know you.
Sasha Banks.
No. There was a period, I think 2017, I got obsessed with this.
2017.
But it wasn't from then.
Okay.
Well, obviously, I'd heard it, but then I was like, this is the best thing I've ever heard in my life.
Like how I discovered Real American like 6 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Hey guys, you heard this? I think it's going to be huge for the wrestler.
Well, basically, I did Beverly Brothers first as well. As
yeah.
my warm-up.
Very nice.
That's what I meant. Yeah.
Beverly Brothers, yeah.
That's what I was trying to think with the Brooks Jensen thing. I've got confused with.
Of course, yeah. For extension, yeah.
Yeah.
It's the wrong son. Wrong NXT guy.
Yeah.
Rick Martel.
No.
Good though.
Similar gimmick-ish.
Who's a model or a hunk?
Dashing Cody Rhodes.
Hunk.
A hunk.
Rick Rude.
Simply
Ravishing, nobody's fool. All the girls go crazy, they don't know what to do. Because they're coming.
It's because they're coming. They're absolutely dizzy with hysteria.
That's such a theme.
It's the best, man.
Somebody
It's-
retweets they're like in studio raw audio of her singing every couple of months.
So I had that on. James had come downstairs. This is where the ick thing comes in, the cringe. And he's like, who's that? I was like, put some respect on the name of Ravishing Rick Rude. But he sees the ultimate like 80s, 90s guy like going and like doing that. He's like, who is that? And that's Ravishing Rick Rude. And so I was doing like exercises and I was turned around and I was about to give it the old. And he's like, it's cringe.
Ravishing Ick Rude. Yeah. You'll get it one day after.
Well, one day.
And at least like
One day.
Rude's WWE theme was also incredible, but at least it wasn't that one because that's like the Strickland.
Yeah. Didn't do that in front of my 9-year-old son.
Dad.
Not again.
So shout out to the Panda Blair himself, Adam Blair, at Anna Wilton 4, and Jose Palomares at the Ho 11. The guys who always take care of the
Dada.
with this sort of thing.
Dada.
Obviously, it was just for fun, this, because I'd already wrapped up Ladies' Night in November. Of
course, yeah.
But it's another win for me.
You're joking. Not another one?
I move on to 14 for the year,
Who's texting us?
4 for Sidgwick for this year, and 8 for Hamlet.
Dominant.
I think I've stumbled across on a
John Lewis. That's good.
What's he up to?
What does the text say? Wax on, wax off.
So off me. That's what it says. Right, a deep sending order.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we have to play the game,
sending?
mate.
Sorry, yeah. I just remembered 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
You've won the league. You don't care. You're,
Right,
you're on the
deep
beach.
sending order. Michael Hamflet, 1 hour, 10 minutes flat. Me, 1 hour, 16 minutes, 46 seconds. Adam Wilborn, I don't know you from Adam. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Sensors working overtime.
He's cracked the code.
I think
He's
I've
an
got
XTC, haven't won this bloody game. It's all good stuff.
1 hour, 28 minutes and 50 seconds, by the way, just for the clarification. But yeah, well, I've got a strategy now. I'm going to stick to it. But yeah, we are in the women's section of AEW Dynamite. Now Renee Paquette is backstage with Mariah May, who cuts Renee off, saying, "You got no f***ing mate." And all you do is...
Merry Christmas. Remember them on it was a GLS. To this day, every Christmas, me and my friends send that round. We would start watching it before a night out when we lived in my house. What the f*** did you
say? So Renee goes, I should not do this, and I'll leave. And, right, so I'll sit back down, tells her to listen. She says, look, giving a title shot to my best friend is a great gesture. Something she wouldn't have got otherwise. Shaking your tits doesn't earn you a shot. You got to work for it.
Didn't you say it only gets you so far?
Only gets you so far,
So why don't
sorry.
do it again?
Shaking your tits only gets you so far.
Thank you.
Tie division's crap. Brings up Thunder Rosa, but we saw a figure earlier on.
Don't say Thunder Rosa yet, mate. Do you know what I mean? You signpost and everything.
It's a big match, this and all, isn't it?
I know.
Big match.
Mina, we sort of saw her earlier on, and then we see her approach from behind with a champagne bottle, but she simply hands it to Mariah May and says, "Say it to my face."
She didn't say that though, did she, Wilborn?
She says, "Do it to my face."
Yeah. Just that's. I think it should be on record.
Sorry, yeah. So, I mean, Chicago, and she comes, champagne bottle, "Do it to my face." Winter is coming. Make me work. Thoughts?
Thinking of Alex Riley doing that. Do it to my face.
Do it to my face.
People love Mina Shirakawa.
Yeah.
You could hear the reaction of like, "Oh yeah, she's here."
Yeah.
From the crowd in the background, so that was good. I'm into this match. I think it's
like
really good. I
Thomas.
wish they hadn't done the Thunder Rosa bit.
Mariah May's.
No offense to Thunder Rosa, I'm just saying they've told you who's winning again.
She's like massively turned this title reign around, hasn't she?
Yeah.
Not at
Yeah.
the start, but of late, brilliant.
Yeah.
It's main event time. Claudio versus Brody King in the Gold League.
Oh my god.
Very good stuff, this.
If you thought, oh no, this match is going to go, they're going to kick the crap out of each other, you were correct. They swing for each other, well, and connect, I should say, because there's a chop early, like first minute in this match.
You see Pac's chest, by the way, we forgot to mention that.
Yes.
Pac's chest was so sick. Loved it. So red.
I was going to say, this first thing he does, basically, and Claudio's already just...
Jay White used to be a bit more of a knife edge guy, didn't he? That was
Oh
often his
my
day, like,
God.
in New Japan.
Can you remember? Oh, Jesus. In New Japan, he was like this as well. He had an otherwise not good match with... Was it Commander he debuted against? It was not great,
Possibly,
but
yeah.
the chops were outrageous.
Yeah.
Yeah, these two kick the crap out of each other. Claudio has to basically wrap Brody King's arm around the post and work it over as we go to a break. When we come back, King makes a comeback, hits a Death Valley driver for a 2 count. King's bleeding from the nose, ear. We couldn't really, it was just blood somewhere coming from him. There's a big pop-up uppercut from Claudio to come back, and a DVD of his own. There's the hammer and handful elbows that do nothing. Just get, because Brody King gets to his feet and just take Claudio's head off with a lariat.
I will say, no. Why is it that the only person in the BCC come Death Riders that has a really good hammer and anvil elbow is the rookie who's learning from these dudes.
Yeah.
Like, none of them look that good other than Wheeler's.
Just been the spot.
Yeah.
Not enough other things about the group now. Been that spot.
Yeah.
So Brody King's got...
Otherwise, this was really, really good.
He's obviously got the bad arm, bad hand, Brody King now. So he winces when he hits the shots, but he's still hitting the shots, and then he decides, I'll just hit a splash in the corner instead. There's a cannonball for a 2 count. Claudio tries for the springboard uppercut, and King's like, I'm not doing that. Just forearms him in midair. Huge superplex as they fight on the top from Brody King to Claudio. And a pile driver gets a 2 count for Brody 2. He sets up for his lariat, but Claudio bails to the outside. King goes out after him. And he sits Claudio down and tries for a dive, and Brody King just flies into the railings. Claudio tries to get the count-out victory after hitting a big uppercut to Brody over the barricade.
King, a theme in his matches as well.
King breaks the count, so Claudio's like, I'll just take your head off with a lariat. And Brody King's like, not if I hit one first. He gets a 2 count off that. He wants the Gonzo bomb, but Claudio rakes the eyes, grabs the ref, mule kick, neutralizer, and the 1, 2, 3.
God, it must be easy to be an agent in AEW, mule kick or whatever. See you next week. That spot is infested pro wrestling. It's one of those where if it was my whiteboard approach, you'd have like a list of rules and then a list of tropes, and then once every 3 months, have you done it? Yeah. First week, yeah, sorry, boys. Well, 3 months till we see that again. 3 months.
Yeah.
You've pissed it away.
Is it Dom hit one
Dominic.
this week? Yeah.
It was
Dom.
yeah.
I mean,
to get the near fall,
it's one of those
isn't it?
where it's one of those things now, that mule kick, where even if it doesn't happen every week, because it feels like it does, leave it for 3 months.
Yes.
And if you then that forces you to be creative. Like, well, how else can we do this? Or do we need to do it? You know. Anyway, so the finish was the finish. I get why they do it, but at the same time, it's like, I made this point, a lot of AEW's original appeal, and guess what? It started off white hot. It's dead. It's not dead, but pretty. You know, can't really hear it, can't really feel it. That's a temperature check on
Brass monkeys.
Yeah, brass monkeys. But like part of the original appeal of, I know there's awesome New Japan finishes where people just lose, but the effort extenuated is so awesome that they never feel like a loser. I could still take them seriously. Like, porting over that mindset, but a nice little sort of American TV package was kind of a lot of that appeal, and why they've f***ed it up, I don't know, but it feels like they've done that for too long now. It's not even worth harping on about. But yeah, I don't want to do that thing where there's certain podcasts that I still listen to in spite of myself, where something really good happens, and there's one thing wrong with it, and then spend the whole review saying, that thing really annoyed me. This was... It's hard to be insightful about a match like this because it was what you wanted out of it ultimately, and it's what everyone wanted out of it and anticipated, and they delivered, and that's ultimately all you can say. They smashed the crap out of each other. It was really quite dramatic, the idea that they've been good booking. They've both won one apiece, 100% records going into it, so you didn't really know for sure. That kept you invested throughout. They completely smashed the crap out of each other. Structurally, there were some really cool moments where it's like they were neck and neck, and they did a really good job of selling neck and neck throughout. Before that finish, it was what it was. But they need to do something with Brody King after this again. They need to do something of substance with Brody King after this.
Yeah, like you make a great point about how it's easy to get to dwell on this little thing that you would change or you would do differently or whatever. And I'm going to do
match though,
and I'm going to do that a bit because. Even when I was watching the match, an experience I really, really enjoyed, by the way, more than I thought I would. To Sidge's point about it being like everything you expected, but that's it. I actually got more out of this, and that's why I was a little bit let down by the finish on a night of, I know you can't do run-ins, but you're still sort of cheating.
I know.
If you if it's purity is a selling point.
AEW, an empty promise.
Just be bold and keep it pure, right? There was such a great finish that would have given you everything in the messaging without the need for the mule kick. Like,
it just becomes like, I'm 39.
If you, Claudio, wrench the arm out of its socket because that's what you've been working on.
Yeah.
Really bite it. Just be really cruel. That's still dirty.
Yeah.
But you've been working a body part. That was what I didn't expect.
And then you've got
threw you a body part here, and now that's it's a tournament story.
I was about to say, then you've got it for the
Brody King's got
coming
like
weeks.
a broken wing, and it's like, well, somebody
Like,
else.
do I go for that? Yeah, exactly.
Like, and you illustrate that by having Claudio. It's fighting dirty, but he's kind of made that work for himself because he's been working that the whole match, and he's a technical wrestler as well as a bastard. He's got license to do that, and it's just when you're thinking and when there's that, it's almost like we've all sort of like done uni work or big projects where you've got like some of it that you're really, really proud of, and it's like deadline's looming. That last little bit, and it's just done.
Yeah.
Like that's this match.
Yeah.
It's like when they're thinking about it, they're aging it, or they're not thinking about it. To your point, it's a bit easy. This, like, what we're doing, a bit of a dirty finish, cheat or something, kicking the balls, whatever. Just be a bit dirty. Like, you've done so much other cool stuff. Just stick the land in there, and it does, and you end up dwelling, you end up becoming what you don't mean to, but. A really, really great match otherwise. Proper tournament wrestling with two people that are heavy favourites, and then something's got to give. This was the night Claudio really presented himself as a guy that will at very least make the semis, if not the final, as he should, because he's in the Death Riders, and what are we doing here if they're not winning? But Brody King is an otherwise unstoppable force, and this is how you stop him. And this is how, as you point out, now with this bad arm, this is how other wrestlers might choose to stop him as well. Like, excellent tournament booking after good matchmaking. Just that one little thing you could have tightened up on to make it even better.
Yeah, absolutely.
Let us know your thoughts on AEW Dynamite in the comment section below or on X at WhatCulture WWE. Watch, they can follow all three of us. You can follow Michael Hamflett at
Michael Hamflett.
Follow Michael Sidgwick at
Emma Sidgwick.
Follow our brilliant producer at
It's Adam Nicholas.
And you can follow me at Adam Wilborn. Follow us all at WhatCulture WWE, as I said. Make sure you subscribe to WhatCulture Wrestling, wherever you get your podcast from, for daily wrestling podcasts. But for now, this has been the Dynamite Review. My thanks to Hamflett Sidgwick. Thank you for joining us, and we will see you soon.